What's happening, guys? Today on the channel, we're talking grips. Weak grips, neutral grips, strong grips. Who gives a grip, right? We're gonna talk about how you should hold it, what your left hand does, what your right hand does, and how that affects the golf club's path and face. But before we do, make sure you like and comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and make sure you're getting all the new updates as I drop videos for you guys. We've been on a mission for the last 4 or 5 weeks, dropping 3 or 4 videos a week. I hope you're enjoying it, and we're still pounding them out. So let's get into this tip and make sure you guys understand how to hold your stinking golf club. So what is a grip style, right? A lot of people want to talk about weak, neutral, and strong grips. The issue with that is, I have found, is that if you're a beginner or a novice golfer and I say a weak, neutral, or strong grip, you have no idea what I'm talking about. And so let's just kind of clear the air on some of that stuff, right? When we talk about weak grips, neutral grips, strong grips, we're talking about relative to the club face. And the easiest way to remember this, and I'm stealing this stuff from Mike and EA, is if your hand is on the side of the shaft, so your right palm matches the face, that's a neutral grip. If your right hand sits on top of the shaft, that would open the face. And then if your right hand sits under the shaft, that would close the face. So under is strong because it would close the face to a stronger position. Side of the shaft would be a neutral grip because it mirrors the face position. And a weak would be on top of the shaft because that would open the face. So that's the vernacular. And a lot of people like to use this weak, neutral, strong vernacular because they're talking about it relative to the club face. The problem is, this is the big nugget. You have to find your neutral grip. And so not everybody holds it in the same place. Ricky Fowler's about 17 degrees weak with his right hand, and Zach Johnson's about 30 degrees strong with his right hand. And they are very different swing styles because of the placement of their right hand. Now, let's talk about how the two hands differ. So your lead hand is your glove hand. So I'll put my little white mitt on just to help you guys out. So when we say lead hand, it's the glove hand of either a lefty or a righty. That's the easiest way, so that way I don't get caught up with a lefty on the channel saying, what about glove hand? Glove hand's lead hand. This one is more predominantly dictated by where you put your hand on the club, by how fast you rotate, right? So the faster I turn to the left as a right-handed golfer, the stronger I need that left hand on the club, or more on top of the club, to keep the face from opening. There's nothing from pits to feet that shuts the club face. So you have to make sure that that lead hand gets on the club in such a way that if I can get 2 cheeks looking at the camera, I probably need a stronger left than if I can only get about a half of my left cheek, I probably need a weaker left. So that's usually where we start. And the left hand grip, or your lead hand grip, is different than your right trail hand grip if you're a righty in this scenario. Your lead hand only goes from the side position to the on top position. You don't see anybody holding it underneath. And where the lead hand can also play a factor is that some people have to hold it more horizontally. So not only are we talking about the orientation of your left hand in this scenario, but also the muscle structure in your hands might dictate whether you need to hold it more diagonally in the fingers or a little more horizontally in the palm. And so when you look at these different types of pieces that develop a grip, you can't possibly have everybody holding it the same way. You can notice like the Jordan Spieth style grip, that's more of like what I call the thumbs up grip, where there's a large separation. Old school guys called that a long thumb because the thumb looked longer relative to the hand, versus a diagonal guy is going to hold it more short thumb style where you pinch the grip. And it dictates a lot on that hip rotational speed. So that's how we test for that when we're coming in for tune-ups. So the faster you can turn, the stronger that left hand needs to go, and possibly more diagonal based off of how your knuckles, and you can see on mine, run to the ground, or when I try to get my knuckles flat, you can see my wrist isn't really designed to be there. My wrist is more designed there, and my knuckles run to the ground. So that's kind of more when we look at the left hand, lead hand, glove hand, whatever you want to call it, hand grip. We talk about trail hand grips, your non-glove hand, your right hand, in this case for me as a right-handed golfer. When we screen to figure out how we hold it there, that influences your finding of a neutral grip. So I play a very strong grip from the old school vernacular of where my right hand sits more under the golf club because of the way I was screened as my trail hand folds back. And so a very simple way to test for this, and I've asked people, it's amazing how you ask people to make their hand like a paddle, they can't resist the urge to close their fingers. So I've had to actually get a swimmer's paddle. So thanks, Mike, for showing me that little trick. And you put a swimmer paddles on their hand, you get in a golf stance. Right hand splits this slightly lower than the left because guess what? Your right hand goes slightly below your left when you hold a golf club. And you fold your right elbow to about 90 degrees and your left hand on top. Now some people fold this way, right? And they don't really let their left hand rotate, and that's fine, but you have to watch their shoulder. And I shrug whenever my right hand tries to stay on top, and slash doesn't feel really good. So when I swing my arms, I just kind of let my arms swing back and forth. My right hand turns very much underneath. So I have a very strong or under grip. So when I go to hold the golf club, I play a stronger left hand anyways because of my faster hip speed. My right hand needs to go more underneath the shaft in my grip style. So then you could take some practice swings and work the golf club from halfway and feel how the club face should feel like it's closing. If I go too far under, it feels like it shuts too much and swings more out. If I get too far on top, it feels open and goes really hard to the left. So I'll say that again, because we're going to talk about how these grips influence each other. When your right hand goes under, it works the golf club more in to out, and you can obviously apply some twist, and that gets the face to shut. When you put your right hand on top, that pushes the club path more out to in. So when we look at this from a down the line view, we are looking at how the club should be taken away as well. So a golfer that plays a more side grip, you will see them have the more traditional look, toe slightly over heel on the target line. Somebody like me who plays it slightly more underneath, you'll see the toe get a little bit more vertical and the club head a little bit more inside the target line. You get somebody on top, you'll see the face be more toe over heel and outside the target line. So the influence of your trail hand influences the start of your takeaway. And there's a lot of golfers that I'll see who try to hold it on top. Maybe they're not designed to be, so you can tell I'm not because it just doesn't feel right. And then they try and match it to a style of takeaway that doesn't match the way their hand's designed. So the big ticket item here is once you screen and see how your hand goes on the club, for me, more under, and as EA said, probably one of the most under-gripped golfers he's seen for a trail hand, then you have to let yourself take the club back in the direction of which your trail hand wants to fold. So there's a lot of elements in developing a grip and how you hold the golf club. And if you're hearing somebody say to hold it stronger this way because you don't want to slice it, I'm just going to go tell you that's probably the worst tip on the planet. I'm just here to tell you. Because yes, you'll shut the face, and yes, you might not hit a slice, but it's not going to work in the long run. It's the Band-Aid. I can get anybody to hold the golf club differently and get different shot shape, no duh. The difference is are you holding it the way you're designed so that you get maximum leverage and maximum force output into the golf club so you can actually hit it somewhere. And if you've ever heard the tip, I might scratch that last one. The worst tip I've ever heard is hold it light because you're probably holding it wrong. I can hold the golf club as tight as I want if I'm in the right place. If I move my right hand on top and I do that, I feel all kinds of tension up into my elbow. And have you ever seen your buddies wear those bands? They're probably holding it the wrong way, but they're told, hey, just hold it a little bit looser. Well, that's garbage. You gotta hold it the right way, and then you can hold it as tight as you want and apply a lot of Bryson DeChambeau speed into the ball. So that's where the difference is becoming, is that if you can hold it correctly and you go through these steps and you hold it the right way, you can take the club back, you can hold it as tight or as soft as you want without pain, that's the big ticket item, and then start to shade the shot shape as you desire. If you're an under golfer like myself and you don't want to draw, there's setup options you can take to produce fades, and we can cover that in another video. But for now, I know you're dying to see it. Let's send an old diesel down the fairway and we'll be on our way. So I hope you enjoyed that tip. Hopefully you can start thinking more about how you should be holding the golf club and how you can start dabbling around with different grip styles that match up to who you are, not to a neutral, but to your neutral. Until next time, guys, have a great day. We'll see you when we see you.